Shalom, shalom. We're going to talk a little bit today about deception. The next few times I meet with you, we will be talking about deception. And then we will start concentrating on different verses that will hopefully encourage us that Yahuwah will be with us during this time that we are headed for. But I always like to remind you and myself that we are blessed who revere Yahuwah and who walk in his ways. And we can find that in Psalms 128, verse 1, Tehillim 128, verse 1. So, like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about deception. When we read in Genesis, in the very beginning, Bereshith, we read in Genesis 3, Bereshith 3, 1 through 13, about the deception that took place in the garden. And so I'm going to read just verse 13. And Elohim, Yahuwah, said unto the woman, What is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. She said, beguiled, okay, or deceived. In Revelations 12:9, we're told that the dragon is going to has deceived the whole world. In Matthew 24, our Savior is warning to not be led astray, to not be deceived in these last days. And that if it were possible, the very elect would be deceived. That makes me shudder to think of the deception that is going to be so fine-tuned that if it were possible, the very elect would be deceived. I did a video on the tribe of Levi not being deceived by the Egyptians into slavery. And we have got to be the same way. That is amazing. And then when you think about how much we've already been deceived into believing and accepting as truth already, the master of deception has been working at this for centuries. And so we have got to get to a place where we know the Father and we know his word and we know the Ruah and we hear the voice, because we've got to know the voice of the Good Shepherd for us to follow him as he's leading. So what is deception and what are the many faces of it? I started up by looking up the definition for beguiled, since it was the word used in Genesis. And then it might have been that particular translation. There may be deceived in some of the other translations. And you know what I was thinking too? It came to me that maybe one reason why there's so many new translations is just so that there'd be so much more confusion in people who are striving to follow truth, that the different translations are going to bring so much confusion that it's going to be easy for people to be deceived. But anyways, I'm just going to read a few of the definitions or words that they said similar to the word beguile. There was quite a few words. So charm, attract, enchant, entrance. Entrance is on this one, and it's also, I think, under deceive. Entrance, like an entrance to a door. Now, isn't that interesting? Win over, captivate, bewitch, spellbind, blind. Okay, 2 Corinthians 4:1 says that the God of this world blinds people so that they won't receive the good news. Hypnotize, mesmerize, seduce, tempt, lead on, lure, entice, ensnare, entrap, deceive, mislead, inveigle. We're going to look at that word because it's also mentioned again under deception. Inveigle, dupe, fool, double cross, take advantage of, tickle someone's fancy. Remember, James says that when we're tempted because we're drawn away by our own lust. Yah doesn't tempt any man, and neither can he be tempted. But when we're tempted, it's because we've been drawn away by our own lust. String along, sweet talk, butter up, enchanting, delightful, lovely, pleasant, pleasing, appealing, attractive. I think that's also what happened in the garden, right? He presented it to seem so appealing and pleasing. So the opposite of beguile is to repel and to be straight with. To repel. The book of James again, he says, submit ourselves unto Yahuwah, resist the enemy, and he will flee. All right, so some of the similar words for to deceive, which is to cause someone to believe something that is not true, typically in order to gain some personal advantage. Defraud, cheat, trick, lead on, outwit, seduce, ensnare, entrap, beguile. Throw dust in someone's eyes, put one over on. And then there's that word inveigle. So inveigle means to persuade someone to do something by means of deception or flattery. To flatter, seduce, persuade, coax, convince, talk. Isn't that what was happening in the garden? To tempt, to lure, entice, entrap, ensnare, sweet talk. Bamboozle. So, we're going to talk about this. Remember, deception is going to be the great thing that's going to get so many people. And we don't want to be in that number. We're not going to want to be in that number because the deception means that we'll take the mark of the beast, the number of the beast, and worship the beast. There'll be some type of luring that will get people there. And could it be because what goes along with taking that is that without it, you can't buy nor sell. We don't want to be deceived. Be not deceived is a major theme all throughout the scriptures. And to think, had our ancestors taken heed to that warning, many of us would not be going through an awakening right now because we would have been taught the way of Yahuwah. Everything Yahusha said is truth, for he is truth and cannot produce anything less than or contrary to truth. And one of his quotes was, the blind leading the blind. Remember, he was talking about that. And this is what religion has done and is doing, because the teachers who are teaching that which we know now is because they were blind, teaching what they were taught. Very few of them inquire or search out anything that seemed crooked or not fitting or sounding right, because what was right? All they knew was what they were being taught. And sounding right means that it would measure up with Yahushua, and with his father Yahuwah, so which means that you need the Ruach to be able to teach you the truth, right? Because he is the spirit of truth. So there's been a lot of things that we've been taught that we never just searched out. We just accepted it. It's like all the traditions, all the holidays, and everything. I guarantee you is so much that it's probably safe to say everything, but so much has been taught to us that needs to be searched out. Like the Star of David. Is that in the scriptures? That David had a star? What is that? the story, the nativity scene, the wise men and the shepherds did not see um, the baby at the same time. The wise men, according to Matthew 2, they didn't find him till he was at his house. So that means um, Joseph had already been told the people who were planning to kill him are dead. You can go home. He was around probably 2 years old. They shouldn't be in an activity scene together. And then talking about that, when he was here, we never heard in the scriptures about him celebrating a birthday. We never heard of the apostles teaching us to remember his birthday. Never. And I remember when Yahuwah told me many years ago that them using John 3:16 to say that the Father gave his son, what the Father told me was, I didn't give my son until he gave his life for many. That's when I gave my son. All up to that point, he could have jumped ship. He could have called those legions of angels to take him back. So he wasn't given to us until he gave his life. But they never taught about birthdays. And the only birthday that I know of, and I could be wrong because I tell you that, I do not know everything, and I don't profess to know everything, and I don't want to say I know everything because that would be a lie. So because I don't know everything, there could be another mention of a birthday in the scriptures, but I only remember one that was Herod, and he was not a follower of righteousness. So he was not one who allowed his life to be guided by truth and by the Most High, which puts him in another category of people. And when they mentioned his birthday, the reason his birthday is mentioned is because that's the day that John the Immerser was beheaded. Why? Because he was speaking truth. And Herod's wife, sister-in-law / wife, was angry about that. Now, another thing I want to bring your attention to, I'm just bringing some things up just to give you something to think about, and so you can do some research on your own, is that if they've had us to believe certain things like these things, oh my, what is it going to be like? What else are they going to bring to us? So in Romans 10:15, Paul writes, and how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring tidings of good things. Then in Ephesians 6:15, when they talk about the whole armor, it says, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. But my question is, have you ever thought about that? What is the gospel of peace? I have for years recited the whole armor of God. Then the other day, when I got to the feet, I stopped at gospel of peace. I had often wondered, when in reciting it, putting on the whole armor, and I would say, well, what in the world does it actually mean by the preparation, shod in your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace? Shod in my feet, the preparation, shod in my feet with the preparation. Oh, well, let me just keep saying it. And I did. But the other day when I was saying, I got to that, I was stopped, like a stop, like my hand, in my mind, the hand went up. It's like, stop right there. The gospel of peace. I was like, Yahushua never preached the gospel of peace. Then I said, what is the term gospel? I had heard someone say something about it. So gospel. It was the good news. So I did an online search for this video. The word gospel, this is what they said, the word gospel is derived from the Anglo-Saxon term, ready? God spell. Then they want me to believe that Godspell means good story, a rendering of the Latin evangelium and the Greek euangelion, meaning good news or good telling. Since the late 18th century, the first three have been called the Subnautic Gospels. Okay, and this can be found in the Britannica. .com at britannica.com/topic/gospel/New Testament, and I'll put it in the description. But you can just Google it. I that's what my Google was. My search was, where did the word gospel derive? So in hearing that they're saying it means God spell, just hearing the word spell brings up another word search that we might all want to do. Spell? Nothing positive has ever come when I've heard the word spell. Never. But then again, here they're trying to, in this definition, make me think that it means good news. God spell means good news? Yahushua spoke of the good news of the kingdom of heaven at least 11 times, and he gave parables. And then the kingdom of Yahuwah twice, but not the kingdom of peace. The gospel of the kingdom, the gospel of peace. And why will we be shodding our feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace if we're putting on the whole armor? That's part of the armor, which means I'm going to be fighting. I got a shield, I got a sword, I got a helmet, but I'm going to shod my feet with the gospel of peace. But it's the preparation of the gospel of peace. I don't know. If someone can help, please email me and help me, because I really don't understand what that means, the preparation of the gospel. But anyways, so another one to think about, was he executed on the cross or was it a stake or tree? Research that. And how is salvation free? Anyone who's really trying to live this life will realize that it costs a lot. In fact, it's supposed to cost us everything. So how is it free? It was never free in the beginning because he gave his life for us, and it's not free. Philippians 2:12 says, work out your own salvation. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Training in any army, you got sweat, you got working, you're tired, you're putting forth a lot of effort. It's not free. And that's probably where the watering down of this walk started. People thinking it's free. You know, they say that anything that you don't work for, you can give children, teenagers cars, and they don't, a lot of them don't appreciate it as much as if they bought the car, or at least half of it. That's just human nature. So we're supposed to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. So salvation is not free. And don't let them tell you that it's free. It's not free. It's never been free. It cost him a horrific death for us. How about that 3-in-1 God? When it says in Deuteronomy 6:4, "Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah our Elohim is one." He is one Yahuwah, one Elohim. Religion teaches that the law was done away with, yet in 1 John 3:4 reads, "Whoever committed sin transgressed also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law." Now, this was written after Yahushua's death. This is 1 John 3:4. And when you think about it, isn't that true? How we know that we've sinned is because of the law. And then Paul wrote in Romans 7, "What shall we say then? Is the law sin? God, Yah forbid. Nay, I have not known sin but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law had said, Thou shalt not covet." The law is still alive and well, and so glad for it. The law, as I've said in other videos, is an instruction of how to live clean lives physically. And then before the Most High, there's all types of laws. There's categories of laws. And they're just instructions from a loving Father as to how to live and how to please Him. Okay, another one is, have you ever heard people calling a woman a Jezebel? And that person they're calling a Jezebel is usually one who's not dressed accordingly to um, what they consider as modest, or she has her face made up. When actually, Jezebel is only described one time as painting her face and tired her head, which I don't understand. Tired head, her head. Um, but the main thing is with Jezebel, which makes her such an awful character, woman, is that she hated the men of Yah. She killed them, and she hated with a vengeance Elijah. So it's not because of how a woman looks. No. So in closing, I just want to say that we're not a heretic when we inquire for understanding. Proverbs 4 and 5 says, "Get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not," meaning wisdom, "and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding." Deuteronomy 29:29, "The secret things belong unto Yahuwah Elohim, but those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law." Psalms Tehillim 25:14, "The secret of Elohim is with them that fear him, and he will show them his covenant." Proverbs 25:2, "It is the glory of the Most High to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter." So we started this video out with talking about the serpent, how he beguiled. And I just want to end with the story of the boa constrictor. I don't know if you've ever heard it before, but I just really feel that I need to put that in. So there's a story of a woman who had a boa constrictor since it was a young thing, and she let it sleep with her. Which, okay, I got raised eyebrows at her, okay, but she used to sleep with the boa constrictor, and as it got bigger and bigger, he always slept in a coiled, position, but as he got bigger, he started laying straight out like her. And she started thinking that something was wrong with him because that's how he was starting to sleep. That creeps me out, okay? If there's such a thing as creep out, I'm creeped out, okay? Shuddering. So she took the thing to the vet. He was a huge something. And the vet said, "Get rid of him." But he said, "Get rid of him, because what he is doing is sizing you up." In other words, pretty soon you're going to be his dinner, lady. I just want to end with saying that the enemy is sizing us up. We read all the descriptions of what it looks like when someone beguiles or deceives. The enemy is sizing us up. He's watching us. He knows where he can and where he cannot. And he is trying to find ways that are pleasing to us, those things that are attractive to us, how to, win us. And that word entrance was in two different descriptions, for beguile and for deceive. He looks for an entrance. He wants to tickle someone's fancy. He looks for those things that are pleasant and delightful, inveigle. Oh my, and that means to persuade or do something by means of deception or flattery, sweet talking, throwing dust in someone's eyes, pulling the wool over our eyes, seducing, entrapping. What else is there? Take advantage of, mislead. Yahushua said, "Don't be led astray." So we have to know the word. We got to stay on that straight and narrow. We don't want to be led astray. Eve was led astray. She was told what not to do, but something was pleasing to her. And she listened too long to the conversation. So let's not be deceived. It is so easy. It is so easy to be deceived. We've got to help each other, and we've got to be willing to be helped, and we've got to pray. And remember the things that Yahushua taught. Remember, we're in a war. It's a warfare, and it's not carnal. And even though we might see it through people, it's not people. It's spiritual. So the enemy is sizing us up. Oh, doesn't that make you shudder? He is sizing us up. Don't sleep with the enemy. They say if you sleep with dogs, you'll get fleas. Don't sleep with the enemy. I don't care how it looks. We got to know. And that's another thing. We got to get away from this loving our enemies. And that's another deception. We got to get wisdom with that. But we don't love our enemies. Yahuwah doesn't love his enemies. And that's all through the scriptures. All right, then. Remember, you are blessed. You're Baruch. If you revere Yahuwah, if you walk in his ways. And always remember that we win. And we win when we side with truth, when we side with Yahuwah. No matter what comes or goes. And we don't stand with no majority. I was going to talk about that too. The majority, those with Yah, a few. It's a remnant. So the majority is going to always be wrong. If they're voting and the majority wins, believe me, it is not Yah's people. People, we live in enemy territory. The God of this world hates us. He hates light. And when he sees the light, he wants to stomp it out. They're not for us. We're a remnant of the Most High. He said he'll always have a remnant. And we want to be continuously in that number. We want our names written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Until next time, we win. We always win when we stick with Yahuwah. We love his laws and his Torah. And we keep his commandments. And we flee from that which is pagan. And anything that defiles and does not give honor and esteem to the Most High. I will talk with you soon. You know what, before I go? Oh my goodness, I keep doing this, don't I? It's in Psalms 125, and I hope I can find, but you know, I want to be led by the Most High. Let me find it. When it comes to me, I just want to do it. Psalms 125. 125, praise be to Yah. They that trust in Yahuwah shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be removed, but abideth forever. As the mountains are round about Jerusalem, so Yahuwah is round about his people, from henceforth even forever. For the rod of the wicked shall not rest upon the lot of the righteous, lest the righteous put forth their hands unto iniquity. So there's no iniquity, no evil, no wickedness is going to rest on us unless we stretch forth our hand into it. So we don't want to be beguiled and deceived and stretch our hands out into something and don't give him no entrance. Isn't that amazing? That word is under the definition of beguile and deceive. Entrance. Do good, Yahuwah, unto those that be good, and to them that are upright in their hearts. So we don't want to stretch forth our hands into unrighteousness and wickedness. All right. Shalom. Until next time, you continue to walk aright before the Most High and please him. And we win. And I'll see you next time.